But Aston Villa, besides probably Douglas Luiz, they're going to keep Emi Martinez. They're going to keep Ollie Watkins. No one's really after some of their other big players like John McGinn around the team. And they're rebuilding quite nicely. Have you been impressed by Aston Villa's transfer business this summer, Henry?
Yeah, and I've been particularly impressed by their social media content because the launch of their new kit with Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's just hilarious.
Birmingham to the world, right?
Yeah, and it's just very funny. It obviously it's there to promote the kit, but it promotes their sense of humor, their slight sort of self-effacing. There's some brilliant little sort of cameos in it from Unai Emery, who comes over really well, and from Emi Martinez, who has a sort of slight look of shock when I think the Black Sabbath is it Geezer Butler guitarist
Is that
is saying,
RB left wing?
Can I play on the left wing? I think it's absolutely brilliant. I love things like that. And you know, we often don't give clubs enough credit for doing that because it is a big call just to take a sort of light-hearted approach, something like that. But look, it embeds the club in the community and it's very funny. And also, you know, it just reminds you when you're playing Black Sabbath music 1 minute and then you've got whatever it is, the Ode to Joy or the wonderful music for the Champions League. That is just it's very very clever. So yeah, Aston Villa, huge club. Going to look forward to going there this season to watch them. Always a good place to go. The Holt End in full voice. I think they'll be going back to almost like the early '80s in terms of well, obviously being in the European Cup, but just that atmosphere there. And it's good because everyone talks about Manchester City's dominance and the big clubs, but it's brilliant that a well-run club, well-managed team with hungry players, as you say, they kept on. They kept Ollie Watkins, who I think one of the first. Well, I talked to him at the Euros, and I asked him, you know, could he imagine, you know, when he was playing for Western-super-Mare that he would be scoring such an important goal as that in the semi-final to take England to the final. And then a lot of the other questions were, are you going to stay at Aston Villa? And I think he will because he's quite a sort of loyal character. Also, because you can see how Unai Emery's developed him. You know, he wasn't drifting so much, you know, wide. He was just sort of focused between the sticks, and it worked. And he's just takes the ball and he absolutely clinical in his finishing, as we saw. I was surprised it was voted only eighth best goal at the Euros because I thought it was a fabulous take and finish. So absolutely, you know, and holding on to Emi Martinez, who you know people associate him with the what he did with the trophy and all that sorts of thing when Argentina won the World Cup. But anyone who's worked with him just knows what a brilliant individual he is, an absolute character, hardworking, quite humble, but obviously with a quite healthy sense of humor as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Big bravado.
Yeah, absolutely. To hold on to those two as characters as well as competitors is important.
Absolutely. Because I'm looking at the Aston Villa team, what it's predicted to be the starting 11 for next season, and it's looking very, very strong. I mean, they lost Douglas Luiz to Juventus and they brought in Samuel Illing Jr., they brought in Lewis Dobbin, and they brought in Jaden Philonji. So they're three young wingers looking to get into this team. And you kind of mentioned earlier about Ollie Watkins not drifting out wide because under Steven Gerrard never played with wingers. He played with four central midfielders, and Watkins would have to drift out wide to chase within the channels. And now with Unai Emery playing this expansive football, and now they've lost Musa Diaby, of course, as well to Saudi Arabia. Now they're going to be able to play with three younger wingers who are going to be able to compete against the likes of Leon Bailey in the starting lineup as well, because it's going to be very fun and very interesting. But the signing of Amadou Onana, that just came out of nowhere for me when I was looking at actually Onana didn't have to leave Everton because he was pretty good last season. I like watching him with Gay and Decore in that midfield trio at Goodison Park. But Onana getting into Champions League football after impressing in a way for Belgium at the European Championships, it goes to show that Unai Emery will be looking to develop more young players moving forward. And I think he's got that capability about him because he can do it with anyone of any age. And we've seen the increase of quality from Ollie Watkins, from Steven Gerrard, Ollie Watkins, to Unai Emery, Ollie Watkins. And the same could be said for the likes of John McGinn, Matty Cash as well, the right back. And for me personally, Ezri Konsa, getting into the England squad was a big, big responsibility for Ezri Konsa. And he was fantastic against Switzerland as well. Have you noticed like that regarding Unai Emery as well? His increase of approval all around the pitch?
Yeah, I mean you have to look at Steven Gerrard pre and post Michael Beale to sort of make a fair comparison there. But absolutely Emery as well. I mean, he's got a lot to prove English football, and he's certainly proving it. And you can see how the players are responding to him. I mean, you talk to the players there, and they go, "He's the first one into training. He's the last one out, to leave the training ground." How they actually know that, I don't know, because they wouldn't have been there at the time. But he does absolutely have this reputation. He also doesn't really stand on ceremony, and he moves them around. On Amadou Onana, I mean, he had to leave Everton because Everton were juggling their PSR figures, and they looked at which players they could most afford to lose and get maximum whack from, and he was clearly one.
Do you think they missed the ball there by not selling Jared Brandtwaite for 50 million to Manchester United?
Well, they may do, but they want more than 50 million.
Yeah.
Partly because they have to give a chunk of it onto Carlisle, but also because they're looking at Manchester United and they're thinking, should we be bullied by you? You're one of the teams who wanted to destroy English football with the European Super League. You've got some of the worst but wealthiest owners in the Glazers. You've got a new co-owner who wants to make a statement. I was really surprised Branthwaite didn't go to the Euros. A left-sided, left-footed centre half who has also played one game for Everton at left back last season. I mean, he might have brought England some balance, and also he's clearly a player for long-term future. Very impressive individual. As ever, with anyone associated with England, there is almost like a sort of luxury tax on them as well that you almost have to pay the extra England tax. So I thought £50 million. I thought Manchester United were being slightly disrespectful.
That's fair enough as well, because it's like when we've seen Manchester United deal with Everton in the past, there's always been a whole summer of negotiations. We've seen them do that previously with Romelu Lukaku. We've seen them do that, of course, with Wayne Rooney back in 2004 after the European Championships. And if Branthwaite did go to the Euros, his value would have gone up even more because I believe he may have been a good alternative at left back as opposed to Kieran Trippier. Even in that dead rubber game against Slovenia, they would have been a good time to experiment for different players. And Gareth Southgate didn't tend to do that very much as well in that team.